Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Opinionated Lushes Books and Booze, the series where we invite on indie authors, have them talk a little bit about themselves and their books. So I'm going to pass it off to Dawn to introduce this week's author.
Hi, everyone, and we welcome today Crystal Bell. How are you, Crystal?
I'm good, thank you.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from? Do you have any animals? We'd love to know their names.
Sure. I'm in Caledonia, Ontario. I'm a mom of two. I have a son who's 14, and I have a daughter who's 10, who I'm incredibly proud of. And I'm a professional photographer, and I have been for 10 plus years. I could almost say probably about 15 years at this point. And I primarily do newborn, family, and all things baby. And now I'm an author.
Woohoo!
Woo! Also, you do podcast photography.
Yes, I was just about to say. If you see our
Touche.
pictures on a lot of our social media, Crystal's the one that took them for us, and she was so wonderful to work with because, like, I'm a really nervous wreck person, and she's like, "You're fine, you're doing great." So
You guys did
it was really
amazing.
great.
You looked beautiful. Even with your feet, this is gonna sound bad. Up in the air, you did wonderful. And inside
was
joke,
my
but you
idea.
guys, yeah, I loved every minute of it. You guys are
I'm
amazing.
so good when my legs are in the air. Like, that's just.
That's my best work, right?
Yeah, when feet are over my head, I'm great.
I think that's all of us.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your book?
Sure. So I've always thought that I would be, when I was going to be a writer, I'd be something about that would be personal about me. And I decided the things about me were too kind of crazy to believe because I have a lot of interesting stories about myself, everywhere from I ran myself over with a truck to I fell down a manhole 10 plus feet on Halloween Eve. So I thought that would be what I would go with in my, when I was going to do this. But then I just know I was do something stranger than my life and do something, fictional and kind of do a whole book on just something that was something I like, which is typically true crime, but this is not true crime. This was just, I want to do something with murder and mystery and something that, involved a little bit of gruesome, but nothing too much. So basically in this book, The Reunion, you follow Beth Ann, who's my main character, and she has best friends that are Trip and Lynn, and they, in their much younger years, they hang out together. They do typical stuff that you do in high school and elementary, and get into a little bit of shenanigans. But then they get older, and they're still best friends. And then, unfortunately, the night of the reunion, we have a murder, and so Beth Ann then finds herself in a situation where she's trying to solve this murder, and she does so in a way that she finds out she's more on the psychic side of things, and so she uses the intuition that she has and her psychic abilities, these visions that she has, to try to solve Lynn's murder. And she gets into some interesting situations, including a cat burglar or burglary, and where she has to try to help solve that. And that leads her to a whole bunch of other interesting things. And she kind of gets into danger, gets herself out of it, and a little bit of a romance kind of develops. And yeah, it's just a really good book.
Nice. I'm excited to hear all about it.
Awesome. I'm going to read the first chapter when you guys are ready for me.
Yeah. Sonia, whenever you're ready to give us our drink words.
My only job.
Oh.
So we have Trip, Lynn, Beth Ann, and Reunion.
So there wasn't a whole lot. So it's the first chapter I'm going to read you guys. So the only thing I could find that was repetitious is those few things. So hopefully that's enough. If not, I was going to put the, but then I thought you guys wouldn't be able to stand by the end of it. So or sit even.
Names are usually a very, very solid choice. We have a few authors that have tried to kill us by putting the name of their character.
Oh my goodness.
You guys are pretty safe. I've gone through it. It's not too bad, so you're probably going to be all right.
Oh, thank you. Because I do want to ask you questions later.
Of course. Yeah, no,
And not the
ask
same
away.
question worded differently. She wants to ask some different ones.
Tomorrow you're going to be like, what questions did I ask her?
Wait, did I send her the link?
Did it happen or was that a fever dream? Yeah, no, we're here. I'm going to do this once and once only.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself so you don't hear me slurping, and you start whenever you're ready and let us know when you're finished.
Okay. It's not every day a 5-year-old has a psychic vision of her grandmother's death, but that's just part of my story. Walking over to my grandmother's casket and peeking in slowly on my tippy toes, I could smell the roses and her signature perfume, Chanel number 5. Looking closer, I saw that she looked like she was sleeping, and she still looked like my grandmother. And I want her to get up, but she didn't move, and I didn't understand what was happening. I looked down at the pearl necklace. I remembered when I would run my hands through them, and when she would hold me tight and read me stories from my favorite books. My dad came over, lifted me up, and leaned over, and I touched her hand. I don't remember what happened after that, but my dad told me that he thought I had fainted or passed out. Now, as an adult, I'm starting to have more and more memories and flashes of information telling me that there was more to her death. But for now, it only comes to me in my sleep. I turned off the alarm with the same force that matched my frustration, knowing I had to attend my high school reunion that evening. I hesitated as I looked at the invitation. I had my doubts about going, but I couldn't say no to my two best friends. I didn't want to leave them to face the graduating class alone. I could already imagine the questions that would be asked. What did you do with your life after school? How successful are you now? Suck it up, Beth Ann, I could hear Tripp and Lynn saying. If we have to go, so do you, they would tell me. I reluctantly swung my legs over the bed, and after a long stretch and a big yawn, I walked to the bathroom to brush my teeth, wash my face, and prepare for what I expected to be a very long day. As I got ready, memories of my high school days flooded my brain, and I remember us walking through those large brown doors. Lynn and Tripp always greeted me, and catching up with me felt like no time at all since our summer past adventures. We used to spend our days camping, swimming, and watching romantic comedies at the movies. I vividly remember the summer Lynn visited her grandparents in China. Those 3 weeks felt like an eternity without her. I glanced down at my watch. Darn it. Spent too much time in the past, I thought. It was time to get back to reality and head to work. Before leaving, I laid out my best red dress and fancy black pumps on the bed for later tonight. Then I reminded myself to finish getting ready for work and leave the thoughts of the reunion behind, even if it was just for a few hours. After catching my bus downtown, I treated myself to my favorite coffee, an espresso with steamed milk and a hint of foam. As I confidently walked into City Hall, I took a moment to breathe in deeply and embrace the day ahead. My heels echoed down the long corridor as I headed to my office, ready to tackle a long day spent addressing phone calls for the deputy mayor. The familiar aroma of coffee, paper, and the buzz of productivity never fails to energize me. I entered my office, placed my coffee on the desk, and gazed out the window, taking in the city sights. I enjoyed watching the cars move swiftly down the street and the street vendors setting up their carts for another day of work. I took a sip of my coffee, and it was just as good as always. The first day of the first call of the day interrupted my thoughts. I glanced at my watch and I realized I still had 5 minutes before officially starting, and I debated picking it up. I picked up the phone and answered, "Hello, Deputy Mayor's Office, Beth Ann speaking. How may I help you?" Of course I can relay the message to him, I assured the caller, knowing he probably wouldn't return the call. I took the information and hung up. I looked up just in time to see my best friend Lynn across the hall from me, printing some documents. She didn't see me at first. Her usual happy face was frowning and looking concerned over what she was staring at on her phone while her copies were being printed. That's not good, I thought, reminding myself to check in with her later. She finally spotted me looking at her. She perked up immediately and gave me a little weak wave. We both had applied for jobs right after college, and with some luck and determination, we both somehow got jobs in the same building, just like we had always wanted. I waved back at her and put my hands in the shape of a heart, hoping that if she was having a hard day, that might help. And seemingly, it did. She gave me the heart sign back, walked to her office, and closed the door. I don't know how she keeps up with the stress of being the mayor's secretary, but I guess it's why we spent so much time getting our master's degree and business administration degrees. A few hours later, I heard a little knock on the door, and Lynn strolled in with a massive smile, and I couldn't help but admire her slim figure and impeccable fashion sense. She seemed a bit happier than before, which relieved me. We are going out for today, she stated in a way I knew there was no room for negotiation. I responded with, although I was looking forward to the dry ham sandwich I packed, your idea sounds much better. She giggled, her nose wrinkled as she smiled. Happily, I grabbed my purse, linked arm with her, and we walked out, chatting like old times. We walked to our favorite spot across the street from work, a Lushy, at Lushy Chic. We ordered quickly, and she brought up the dreaded reunion. So, are you ready for tonight? She said, playfully mocking me. Sure. If you call dreading every minute, then yes, I am super looking forward to it, I said sarcastically. Lynn laughed. Only she could be that endearing in a situation like this. So do you have a date? She asked, playfully mocking me. Only if I could take Ren, I said, and laughed. The thought of taking my sweet 12-year-old senior cat in a tux made me snort. Once again, I had her laughing, and I was glad I could make her laugh, I thought. What about you and your handsome hubby-to-be? I asked her. She let out a sigh. Oliver was supposed to come with me tonight, but he had to go to a work thing. She sounded sad, and I felt bad for her and thought maybe that's why she had had her head hanging earlier. That would make sense, I thought to myself. Honestly, it's probably a good thing. We've been arguing more than usual lately, she said, and she played with her engagement ring. You have? I said, surprised. I couldn't remember when they'd ever fought or ever disagreed on anything. Did something happen? I questioned her further. Yes, when I returned from the conference of mayors a few weeks ago, he started acting strange. He was being slightly possessive, and I'm pretty sure I saw him following me the other day while I was walking to work. But I think that's just me being paranoid. She sounded baffled and concerned. Let me know if I can do anything or if you ever need a place to stay for a few days until this blows over. Just let me know, I told her. I'm sure this will be over soon. He's had tons of stress at work lately, and maybe that's what it's about, she explained. This news did surprise me. They have been together intermittently since high school and have been engaged for the last 5 years. It's clear they love each other, and I was eagerly anticipating their summer wedding. I attempted to change the subject. Well, it looks like it's just going to be us then, the original three amigos, with you, Trip, and me running the schools like we used to. You're absolutely right, she exclaimed, and her bright smile reappeared momentarily. We happily ate our lunch and talked like we always did. We discussed our plans to attend Trip's upcoming grad, and it felt like old times. I don't know what it was, but something kept nagging me. She still had a big smile, but her eyes didn't look like they usually do. The light had been removed. Also, who kept calling her and distracting her? She didn't answer, but it sounded like one after another. She interrupted my thoughts. Hey, I keep forgetting to ask you. Do you remember that email account you used to have a short time in college and then switched it? Oh, the one I spelled my name wrong, I thought. I laughed, remembering how dumb I felt. Yeah, that's the one, she said. Do you still have access to it? She asked. I think so. Why? What's up? I questioned. Nothing much. I may have accidentally sent an email to you there, so I was checking. Anything important? I can check it later, I replied. No rush. I remembered it, so I figured I would ask. Maybe check it when you have time. I felt like I should push her a little bit about what was going on with her, but in the end, I thought better of it. Mind your own business, Beth Ann. If she wanted you to know, you would know. She usually tells you everything. Wow, it's already been almost an hour, I exclaimed. Do we have to go back? She joked, but I could sense there was more to it. Yes, that's why they pay us the big bucks, I replied, and we both laughed. We walked back to work, shared a hug and a quick goodbye, and agreed to meet at the school later. The rest of the day went smoothly, with a few meetings with my boss and what felt like a million emails sent. At some point, the whooshing sound of an email started to feel torturous. I looked at my watch. 5 p.m. meant I could go home. For a brief moment, I was happy. Then I remembered what I had to do after work and thought, boo. I picked up my phone and ordered a ride so I had some extra time to get home and prepare for tonight. I waved to my boss across the office and yelled out, Happy Friday. See you on Monday. Thanks, Beth Ann. You too, he shouted back. He's a good guy, I thought to myself, grateful for having a chill boss. Once I returned to my apartment, I took a quick bath while listening to some classical music, hoping it would calm my frazzled nerves. I'm not sure if it worked, but when I got out, I was at least not entirely dreading the evening. Between our jobs, families, and Trip's nursing school schedule, we don't get to hang out as much as we would like to. I am far too cheap to pay someone to do my long curly hair, so I had to spend additional time putting it up into a cute little twisty bun. I left some tendrils down in the front and thought, I look pretty, right? Ren? He ignored me, but that's okay. At least he's cute. I did a quick makeup job to try to hide the darn freckles that have been haunting me, that have always haunted me, but I quickly gave up. Knock, knock. Ah, Trip is here. I hurried to open the door and found my tall, green-eyed, and muscular best friend standing with a beaming smile, ready to ease my anxiety. Hey, Curls, the nickname he's had me for since we were kids. You look terrific. He knew just what to say to lighten the mood. Thank you, and you always look so handsome and put together. I do have an image to uphold, you know. Yeah, yeah, Mr. GQ, I playfully mocked him. Do you want a beer? I asked him. Always, he responded. Grab one while I finish up, I said, searching my jewelry box for my favorite earrings. Done and done, he replied, as I heard the fridge door open and a beer cracking. Hey, have you talked to Lynn lately? I asked. No, not since we went to dinner a few weeks ago. Why? We had a spontaneous lunch today and something fell off. She kept checking her phone, just had nervous energy, said that Oliver was no longer coming to the reunion tonight, and even said they've been fighting lately. That's not like them. I haven't heard anything, but I can talk to her tonight and dig in a bit to see if I can find anything out. That's a good plan, I told him, and finally found the earrings I was looking for. Hey, I just got the alert. Our ride is here. We have to go, he said, pointing to his phone. I opened the door. After you. I locked the door and followed him down to the ride. We quickly got out of the car, and I knew instantly that sharing a card with him at the car to the reunion was a good idea, even though he spent most of the ride flirting with Ben, the driver. I appreciate the distraction. We pulled up to the familiar school, and I felt my heart thump a little harder, and my anxiety got worse. Tripp grabbed my hand, sensing my stress, opened the door, and we walked hand in hand through the big double doors. A familiar face greeted us with a table full of names, but I couldn't quite place who she was. So I grabbed mine and Tripp's name and noticed Lynn's name tag was still on the table. So she hadn't shown up yet. That's weird because she'd never been late for anything I could remember. Let's get a drink, Tripp announced. Oh my God, yes, lead the way, I replied. After we grabbed a drink, we found a table and sat down to wait for Lynn. While we were chatting away, I felt someone tap on my shoulder. When I turned around, I saw hands and face that was familiar and comforting. Hey, Beth Ann. Spencer, no way. He was my longtime boyfriend. I hadn't seen him since we had kissed goodbye as he left for university. We said we would keep in touch, but after a few short calls, we didn't speak again. However, seeing his face felt so good after all this time. Tripp excused himself so we could get reacquainted, but I thought he would just scope at any cute boys and report back at the night's end. How have you been? Spencer asked. Not bad, I replied. Just busy working and doing normal busy life stuff. How have you been? I asked him. I just started a new job in England at a new firm and flew in for the reunion. The reunion. England? That's amazing. And I'm so glad you could make it. I wasn't sure if you would be here, I told him. We talked nonstop, and it seemed like no time had passed. Honestly, I forgot where we were for a minute, and I was brought back to reality when Lynn finally showed up in a stunning purple floor-length gown, and her long hair was pinned back in a bun with her favorite butterfly hair clip that shone off the crystal ball hanging off the ceiling. She stole the show with two drinks in her hand, just like she always did. She walked up to us. Spencer, wow, it's been so long. Lynn hugged him. Tripp suddenly appeared and exclaimed, Let's dance. He took my hand and pulled me to the dance floor. Reluctantly, I followed him as it was hard to say no. Just when I started to enjoy myself, one of my favorite Britney Spears songs started playing, and I began to relax. Lost in the crowd, we must have danced to at least 3 or 4 songs. Then Spencer approached us, tapping Tripp on the shoulder, and asked, Do you mind if I join in? Tripp and I locked eyes, and with our best friend, unspoken understanding, he knew I was okay with it. Sure, but you better know how to dance as well as me, Tripp said as he was walking away. We had a great time dancing to nice music, and it was fun to see both of us enjoying ourselves, even though I don't usually seek attention. I allowed myself to relax and had a good time. Then a familiar slow song started playing from the old speakers. He gently took me by the waist and pulled me close, reminding me of a time machine throwing me back to prom. We swayed slowly to the music. His strong embrace made me want the dance to never end. I was pulled out of the wonderful moment, out of the past, when I heard a commotion coming from the bar area. We both stopped dancing, and I looked in the direction of the noise. There were loud, upset voices, and we followed the sound. It turned out that Lynn was arguing with Oliver, which surprised me since he wasn't supposed to be there. Sorry, Spencer, I need to go see if Lynn is okay. I apologized. Of course, he replied. I made my way through the people, quickly reaching Lynn and Oliver. He was showing her something on his phone. I protectively placed my arm around her, and he quickly hid his phone. Noticing she was very red in the face, you could tell she was fuming, embarrassed, and trying not to cry. I suddenly felt overprotective. What was he showing her that upset her, and why tonight? Are you okay? I asked her. Everything is fine, she said in a little sharply. I just need a moment. She started to walk towards the hallway. Do you want me to come with you? I asked, hoping she would say yes. She nodded yes, and I told her to meet me in the washroom. I would let Spencer know where I was going. She agreed and walked off. When she was out of earshot, I turned my attention from her to Oliver with fire in my eyes and asked, what the hell just happened? I spat out, my anger rising. I don't know, he explained. I had just come here to surprise her and she was upset to see me. Bullshit. What was on your phone? I saw you showing her something, I told him. Nothing, Bethan. You need to let this go. And he walked away and got lost in the crowd. Was that a threat, I thought, getting madder? He was lying to me. I could tell. This was not the mild-mannered accountant I'd grown to love over the years, I thought to myself. Spencer approached me and asked if I was okay. I need to go find Lynn, I told Spencer. I understand, he replied. Walking down the hall and into the bathroom, I could hear Lynn crying in the stall. Lynn? I called out, but she didn't answer, and everything got eerily quiet. That's weird, I thought. The next thing I know, something hit me in the back of the head, and everything went dark. I must have passed out. I remember hearing screaming. It must have been what brought me back to consciousness. I raised my hand to my head, my poor aching head, and tried to process what just happened. I felt dizzy and nauseous, and the screaming wouldn't stop. I needed to get up and find out what was going on. Who was screaming? Who hit me? What happened? Damn it, where is Lynn? I called out for her and I heard nothing. Finally, I managed to get to my feet, and I took off towards the scream and entered an already developing, clearly upset crowd. I pushed my way past everyone to see what was happening. My gaze followed the crowd, and I landed on a familiar purse on the ground with contents spilled all over the floor. I followed the shoes up with my eyes, and to my complete horror, I saw Lynn, my Lynn, sitting against the wall. Blood was sprayed on the wall behind her and also on the trophy case she was leaning on. Behind her, I could see a streak of blood. Her eyes were wide open, but you could tell she was dead. I rushed over her and began screaming, call 911, call 911. I knelt beside her, trying to avoid all the blood, but it was impossible. I went to check her pulse. With tears streaming down my face so hard I could barely see, I heard more screaming and then realized the scream was coming from me. I felt a hand on my shoulder, and I turned around, and Tripp was standing over me. He looked in shock. His eyes were brimming with tears, and he bent down to grab my hand and pull me away. No, I won't leave her. And I pulled back from him. But he was too strong. He pulled me to his chest without another word. I took one more last look at her. This scene would be burned into my brain for the rest of my life. I turned to look at Tripp, and at that moment we realized our best friend had just been murdered. Chapter 1 is over.
That was great.
That was
I
awesome.
was not prepared. I finished
I'm like,
my drink a while ago.
I told you there was going to be a lot. I didn't even actually think there was that many, and then it was like one after another after another. I felt bad
then
for
Trev,
you.
then Lynn, then Trev. I was like,
Well, I went
No,
like for a while, not a whole lot, and then it'd be like,
And then it was all this, yeah.
yeah, no, it
hang on,
was
hang on, hang on.
Sorry, ladies.
no, I'm lucky I only made one drink because like I have work in the morning. So
Oh,
it's
dear.
great.
No, that's
I'll be
great.
going to sleep fine.
I actually wanted to ask if any of the characters in this book are based on anyone in your life, because like I was reading, like I have your book, YouTube. I'm holding it up. And like so I read it, and so I'm wondering if any of the characters are based on actual people you know, because if so, Beth Ann is awesome, because rum and Coke is also my favorite drink. Rum and Diet Coke, sorry, is also my favorite drink. So
I would say loosely based, not really based on anything. So Beth Ann originally was not really going to be anything or anybody, and then I slowly kind of morphed her into myself a little bit, because my favorite is Diet Coke and rum. So that's my favorite. That's my favorite drink. And then wine is on, it's right up there. But my ultimate one, since I was, able to drink, as soon as I was able
Since
to
I was
drink,
14.
yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, it has been rum and Diet Coke. So that's been my favorite one. But she's also a bit of a spitfire, and she's she's very short, but she's also very mighty, and it seems to be like I tend to be people seem to be afraid of me for some reason, even though I feel like I'm a really nice person. Like my sister says, I'm kind of scared of you, and I don't know why. And my grandmother was very much like that, small, but I don't have a lot of height, but I got a lot of meanness behind me. If you mess with me or my kids or my family, so she's kind of based loosely on myself in that retrospect. And the only other ones that would be, they're not really based on anybody, but one of the characters, the name is my son's name, and then another one's my daughter's name, and then it's really funny. Oliver's my dog. So yeah, so there are some characters in there that Amber, there's an Amber Lee in there. My young sister's name is Amber. So there are some, and Beth was, my sister's name is Elizabeth. So
Mhm.
Beth Ann, we just kind of went together. So I did make the first one a little bit more on the personal side of things with the names that I used. I'm pretty sure like there's other ones in there too that go along with, like, I think maybe one of my other animals might be in there too. I'm not sure, but yeah, so I used a lot of that sort of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
My turn. What literacy pilgrimage did you take to like for this project to come about? Like you're a photographer as your like
Yeah.
career. What made you like decide that you wanted to be a writer?
If
I
I'm
hate you,
being
Sonia, because
completely
that was my question.
yeah,
Yes.
I've actually had people already ask me that, funnily enough, and it's a long, convoluted thing. But basically, when I was in elementary school, I think I was in probably grade 5 or 6, I decided to write a Christmas story that was all. It's just something I did on my. I've always wrote stories, and I like to do projects. I was ridiculous. I had a really bad home life, so I kind of just did a lot of school stuff to kind of bide my time, and I did a lot of educational stuff when I was much younger, and I just read a lot. And I mean, when I mean read a lot, I read so many books in the library. There barely could be anything that I hadn't read at some point. And I was very young, and I'd gone through half a library because, the more time you don't want to spend at home, the more time you tend to spend in the library or reading and doing
Mhm.
Yeah,
something
you
to escape.
Matilda. You
Yeah,
become Matilda.
exactly that. And because it's funny because my high school education, say I quit school when I was 16 to raise my little sister who was born when I was 14. So I actually don't even have like I did a GED later in life for myself, but I don't actually have even a full high school, education. But I decided that my mom had died, my father-in-law had died, my brother had died, and all within a year's kind of time span. So I thought, I kept thinking to myself, because I kept putting it off, like, you know, I'll have lots of time to do this. And it's something I've wanted to do since I was literally my daughter's age, 10. So why not just give it a go? So I wrote this book in 6 months.
That's
Wow, it's
crazy. Like, for your
fantastic.
first
Wow.
book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's
And
crazy.
it was it was such a massive learning curve for me because I mean I'm a perfectionist, and then when I go back and I look at some of the, now I would do it a bit different, and I would spend a little bit more time fine tuning things. But I did this not knowing anything. I didn't even know proper grammar, punctuation, because when you don't go to school all the way through, and you're in your 40s and you write a book for the first time, you're learning all of that information that you need to have in a book, because I've read enough of them. But if you don't write, then you don't learn. And so I learned an immense amount during the reunion. And when I come out with the family reunion, which I've just started plot lining it and doing character building for, it will be very much more fine tuned, but this is giving me a basis to, just kind of blow it up for
I
myself.
was about to ask, are there, like, any future books? Is the family reunion, like, a sequel?
It is, yeah. It's going to
Okay.
be a continuation of Beth Ann, and because if you remember at the beginning of the book, something happens with her grandmother. Little hint, we're gonna, it's going to be at the very end of this book. You're going to see something significant come out of that, which is going to segue into the family reunion.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part about writing this book?
Probably finding time, because you
I,
have
I figured that was
to.
going to be it because, like, you have a lot going on.
I do. I'm a busy mom, and I'm a busy photographer. I'm a full-time photographer, and I do other things too. Like I do house cleaning as well as for my sister, and so I do a lot of different things. I have a lot of hats, but I do it because, I want to and I like to keep busy. But I had to force myself to set time apart for this specifically, which is a very hard thing to do because when you have so much else going on, you have to go like, okay, I'm going to spend this time. And I would get up really early in the morning and I would spend 3 hours writing in the morning. Or luckily it was summertime, so I would go out to my trailer and I would just write for 8 to 10 hours a day. And that would get me so many chapters when I could just get away. Because once I got away, I had all the information in my head. For me, that part is easy. It's just having the time to put it down. That's the hardest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah, because you're getting
Yeah.
when you're home, you're constantly getting interrupted, and
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yeah.
This is why I'm on like year 2 and still like writing like a book because I'm like, I don't have time. I just
and I had to make
Oh,
time. It wasn't as easy as just having it. I genuinely had to just be like, leave me the fuck alone for enough time. I hope I can say that. And
Yeah.
I just went on my merry way and was just like, I'm going into my space, just leave me alone. And I got it done. Or I would literally drive away from my family and go 20 minutes to my trailer and just take that whole time to just focus on writing. And it just, when I did that, it would just happen. And that's why I was able to do it in such a short period of time. And I would never suggest writing a book in 6 months. That sort of thing, unless you've done it, you need at least a year. I had a goal. I had a goal of my father-in-law's birthday, and I wanted to have it published on his birthday. So if it was not for that, I would not have pushed myself to those limits, and I wouldn't have done it the way I did it. But it worked out in the end, and even Stephen King has to this day lots of flubs in his books where and he just doesn't care. You just do what you got to
Yeah.
do,
A good
and
story is a good story.
exactly,
yeah.
yeah.
It
But
doesn't
I
even
would
matter if the grammar's bad. People don't care once they're involved in the story. They just read it.
Yeah, and that's true, and that's what someone told me because I was so stressed out about the fact that I'm like, okay, there's some issues here. I got to fix the issues, and it's fine to go back and redo it as long as you don't change the story. And because I knew my story was good, it was just that I was so stressed out over the fact that maybe there were not too many mistakes in the book, and so I had to go back and fix those. Which I did go back and fix them, but even at this point, I'd still do things slightly different. But I think if you want to write a book, you just write a book and you figure it out in the end.
Yeah.
It's important.
We've had a few authors that they're like, just write it first. Like
Yeah.
you can edit it to death, but just write it first.
Well, they
'cause-
said I saw a quote at one point. It was kind of funny to me, and I was having a glass of wine while I was writing, and they say to drink while you're writing and then edit when you're sober, or you can drink while you're writing but you edit when you're sober, because you have two different mindsets. You just want to get everything all out on the page when you're drinking, and then when you're sober the next day, you're like, Jesus, I got to go back and fix that. But it's a really good story.
Imagine
I
it was
like that.
opposite, like
Oh.
like edit
Editing while
you're
drunk?
Yeah, like
So like
make
Dr.
sure you're
Seuss.
drinking while editing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got to be high or something to be that creative, I'm pretty sure.
Lots of drugs, lots of
Yeah.
drugs. I
Cocaine.
mean, Stephen King even. Stephen
Yeah.
King
Oh, yeah.
Any of that
lots of
stuff.
drugs.
I know, and I saw my book at one point. It was really funny because this little tiny the reunion book, and I have no idea. The algorithm had to have been rhythming because I checked one day when I woke up, and I took a screenshot of it because I wouldn't believe it for nothing. Is that it was top 3 on Amazon as most gifted book, and the top 2 were Stephen King, and then there was my little teeny tiny the reunion book as third. And I was like,
That's
I'll never
amazing.
beat that. Yeah, I'm like, I'll never beat that. Even if I like sell 100,000 copies, I'm still never going to beat the fact that it was Stephen King, and Crystal Bell. Like, there's just no way.
You
Yeah,
should
that's
like
crazy.
print that out and frame
Yeah.
it. That's what
I
I would
screenshotted
do.
that shit. Like, it's yeah. And then I was like blasting him, like, look at this. I don't know what it means, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Especially for a first book.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it was a one-off. There may have been a glitch, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. I screenshot it,
That's
so it
right.
happened.
It was real for a moment, and that's all that matters.
That's all
that
that matters.
I was gonna so now that we know that there's gonna be a sequel to this book, do you think you're gonna ever explore other genres outside of like paranormal or murder mystery?
I'm going to be honest, I take this like I've done photography where someone had asked me, I said I was, because at the beginning I never would touch doing newborn photography, and someone was like, and I said I was buying some props, and they said to me, why are you buying newborn props? You're so good at family. Why would you? And I said, well, because I want to do it all. I want to try it all. So as far as my writing career is going to go, the next thing after I do the whole reunion series is I'm probably going to write a kids book because it's one I've wanted to do my entire life. And then I kind of want to write something a bit saucy. Yeah,
Ooh.
I have a very vivid imagination, so I kind of want to. And honestly, I could have gone with this and gone a lot. I had to dial it back a lot for myself because I wasn't sure what I was doing with Beth Ann and I'm not going to go into detail, but the main detective, Mr. Detective there, um, I had to dial it back a lot because I actually had removed a bit because it got a little too saucy. And so one of my beta readers was like, don't you think that's a little odd that she just had her friend off and you're, trying to have her hook up with this cop? And I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe Beth Ann should keep it in the pants a little bit and
Just flirt a little.
just
I
a
don't
little,
know.
and then we
Grief
could just.
is weird. It's
Yeah.
delusional.
I agree with you, and honestly, I was putting myself in Beth Ann's position, and that's she wanted to go a little bit more positioned, but I still went, okay, just calm yourself, and yeah, it makes sense like that. And then again, not to give anything away, but at the end you'll see obviously more going on with Beth Ann. So it's kind of an exciting transition. The book only kind of, I wanted it to amplify the romance. I wanted to amplify her mystery and her resolve to do good, and the ending is kind of explosive and amazing. So it definitely fed in and got bigger and bigger like a snowball towards the end of it, and ended off really good.
Yeah, like reading it, it kind of reminded me of like a slightly older paranormal version of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder
Okay.
with
Yep.
like a female protagonist. She's solving the murder. She's the one that's understanding the miscues, but not quite trusting herself. It's like the male beside her kind of being like, no, you got this.
Yeah. And
You
her
got this.
yeah.
And the little romance that buds there, and then the snowballing effect at the
Yeah.
end. And then what happens with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder? There's 2 other books after it to like help
Yeah.
the flesh
And
the
that's
rest of it out.
exactly it. That's exactly it. Yeah. And a big one, I don't know if you guys ever heard of these books, and completely separate from the ones that I'm writing right now, but I am obsessed and have been obsessed with, and I'm going to sound very old and very geeky when I say this, Sweet Valley High.
Oh yeah.
I, yeah, obsessed. I've
Back
read
in the
every book.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, way back in the day. So I kind of like that type of genre as well, and that type of flow. So for me, I think I tried to put a little bit of that influence in there, but not too much. But if I had my ultimate way, I would have a series similar, not similar to that, but that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Not with twins, obviously, but like I just like that type of book. That's just always been my go-to book to read, and the Babysitters Club and things like that.
I
So
loved Babysitter's Club.
obsessed. I've literally, watched and read everything, single thing on that since I was a kid. So, in my brain, that's kind of where I am I'm assuming now writer. And I guess once you publish a book, that's you're technically a writer. I think I have a little bit of, I don't know what that's called. What is it? Where you don't fully know that you're that.
Imposter Syndrome?
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Like I'm
Imposter
just,
syndrome.
yeah. And I had that as a photographer for a while. Then I was like, okay, I'm just good at this, and I like it, and I'm gonna, this is gonna be it. But yeah, but it's hard. You have that bit of an imposter syndrome, and especially being not as educated as most people doing this, and you have to work a little bit harder.
Okay, again, even if
Mhm.
Stephen King, like I don't know Stephen King's education, but I'm sure he drugged it away. Like there,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
cannot retain and do that level of drugs. I'm so
Well, and did
sorry.
you know that? And I found this out researching it a little bit because I'm a indie author, so I publish my stuff myself. At this point, I'm hoping that one day maybe I might have be published by a bigger whatever. But Stephen King started off as a self-published author, and so did Beatrix Potter, which is another one that I kind of really loved.
Cool.
Yeah, so the amount of people that were that published themselves first and then were picked up later is kind of interesting. So that was kind of where I went with that. I wanted to do it myself first, and then if you're good enough, then maybe something might happen for
Well,
you.
that happens in music all the time. Like, so
Yeah.
many people have to publish indie before anyone will even listen to them.
Well, they want to make
that's
sure you have something there to do
Yeah.
it, and then maybe see if you're good. Now, I need to know from you, ladies. I want to do Audible, but I'm going to do it myself. So once I fine tune 100% of the book, I'm going to do the Audible myself. Is that
Okay.
something that you think I could probably do, or should I just pay somebody else to do it?
I think you could do it if you have the studio.
Yeah, I do. I have the equipment. I just don't have it set up right now.
Yeah,
I have
No,
to.
you're
you can
fine.
do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But my suggestion, because
Yeah.
I do work, like I've talked to a bunch of indie authors before. The problem is it's really pricey, and you really want to read that contract between Audible
Mhm.
because they might screw you over.
Yeah,
They're
and
not.
I have heard some negative stuff too, and I've heard a lot of positive. And you typically make a little bit more income stream though when you do it through Audible. So I think it's like a good and bad situation. So I think it's something I really, if I'm gonna do it, I really got to research it and make sure it's.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, as a voice actor on this, I tried to do one book and it was very, very hard, and I quit. I felt so bad. I upload a chapter every few months. I'm like, I will finish it. It might take 10 years. Like, I'm so sorry. This is not as fun as like character acting.
Yeah.
But just check with Audible's recording things, because they
Yeah.
have very, very
Specific.
specific
Yeah.
audio requirements of it as
Yeah.
well, which is one reason I hated it, because when you're a voice actor doing audiobooks, you're responsible for that. Versus
Mhm.
if you're
Okay.
a voice actor and other stuff, you just send the raw audio and let the editors deal with it. But
Oh, I know it's a
yeah.
lot to consider. It's just something I wanted to do it before, and I actually purchased all the stuff to do it. So ironically, I already have it, and I'm like, well, now I have my own book. So
I think you can try, I'm a proponent of always trying something, and it's your
yeah.
first book, and it's
So why
like,
not give it a go and see what happens?
why not? And at the very worst, like, at least your book's up there to like hope, like, possibly bring in new listeners to like your next book.
Yeah, no, like Audible books are really popular now.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to listen to audible books. Like, cuz when you're driving in that, like you can like pop out a book doing that, and it's easier for
Walking,
people.
working out, like, it's a
Yeah.
lot harder to like
Well, it's like
have words
podcasts
in your
too.
face.
It's like podcasts. My husband, I didn't even know what a podcast was until my husband's like, yeah, I listened to one on my he commutes from Mississauga. So it's about a 2-hour drive every day for him when he's working in the office, and all he does, he listens to tech talks. Tech. He's all about the tech stuff. It's the most boring things on the planet, but he
Yeah.
absolutely adores every minute of it. But when I get into the car, I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's no way I could like listen to that for 5 minutes. But he loves it. But if I listen to a murder podcast, I am like in it for a
Mhm.
hot minute. And yeah. So I get it. But I love you guys too. You guys are just fun and light and
Aw, thank
lifted. And
you.
we were
Thank you.
talking about you guys over dinner tonight because my son's like, "Can I listen to this later?"
No.
And I was like, "Oh, like you're 14. Like this one might be
Give it a couple more
okay."
years. Like, just give it 2 more years, and then,
Yeah.
up for debate. 16's the age I think my son started listening to us.
Specific
And then he stopped
This one's pretty
instantly.
good, so I think it should be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, I want to listen to it, Mom, and I'm like, well, we'll see how it goes, and go from there. My book is pretty PG, so it's not too bad. But
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. It's good. I think it's, it's like, not every book needs smut, but I do think you should explore that option.
I think
I think you should
I
too.
like it. You guys are like, I condone this. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
condone this 100%. Me and the OG Beth that you were about to write, we could have been besties. I'm just saying.
Oh, she is a girl from my own heart, and she would have been ravished by the detectives. So
Yeah.
In 10 years, you do the reunion re-release with the added smut scenes.
yeah, it's smut.
With all the
10 years.
door scenes.
Girl,
Yeah.
she can't wait 10 years. It's going to be like 5 years. It's going to be menopause by 10 years. You guys are hilarious. I was all worried about this. No, I'm not.
Don't
That's
Told
good.
you not.
be mean.
Yeah, I could be your
Cute.
fourth. It's fine. See, you are
You
like my
can.
girlfriend.
Our
It's
fourth,
great.
eh?
It feels very much like when you were in the studio, actually, except for this time I have wine.
See?
Yeah, real
Yeah, real
wine.
Not
wine.
real wine.
Not just fake wine.
Okay, what do you think is the biggest challenge like releasing your first book?
Um, getting noticed is going to be it with anything. Like, doesn't matter what it is, getting noticed. When you're not published in a way that has you in all the stores and this and that, and so just getting noticed, people saying, "Oh, wow, you're really good." Like I've had a lot of close people noticing me, and my sister is like my book pimp, and she's out there like to all her friends. She literally she's a cleaner, like a house cleaner, and she goes to the senior citizens, and she's definitely pumping my book out there and trying to work hard for it. And she's also a bus driver for the school system, so she's like, here, you want to buy a book. And so she's been great about that kind of stuff. So word of mouth has been wonderful, and I sold a decent amount of copies. But honestly, getting your name out there, getting your book out there, it's so difficult. And once you do, it just takes that little bit of a fire, and I'm sure you take off. But it's just getting that notice. So definitely getting notice is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's why I'm doing this tonight, getting out of my complete and utter comfort zone to do
Hey,
it.
hey,
Yeah.
you're doing it.
Yeah.
Honestly,
You're doing
it's been a
it.
lot of
Yeah.
fun. It's been a lot of
That's
fun.
good. Yeah.
I think you
It's
guys make it easier.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah,
We're
not
genuinely
stressing you out.
interested. Like none of us like okay, they have written like a coffee table book. Is that the type of genre
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
called?
it's a coffee table book. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's that?
It's like one of those books that you just put on the coffee table that's filled with like it's not like a
Joke
novel.
store.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little
Oh,
Yeah.
tidbits
okay.
of information.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So
awesome.
but like other like a whole novel, like we've all started.
Yeah, we all started.
Yeah.
You just got to keep going, girls. You just got to keep going, and eventually you'll get there. Just give yourself a timeline. The biggest thing was I told myself I had to have it done by a certain day. Be damned if I didn't, and I was just going to do it regardless. And I stuck to it.
Yeah.
I knew what day. You just got to kind of have the day and stick to it. But I mean, I know that's easier said than done, and I was able to give that time during the summer because my kids were not in school and stuff. So I get that. But if you really are passionate about it, then you just gotta do it. Life is too short, and my God, after losing so many people, I just knew that my life was going to be too short to not do something I really wanted to do and show my kids that
Yeah.
even though you're uneducated and 44 years old, you can do something that's hard. And I wanted to show especially my daughter that because your kids have self-doubt, and you want to show them that they're strong and that you're strong, and that's been really good for me.
Also,
Mhm.
uneducated is debatable. Unformally educated,
Yeah.
maybe.
I'm
But
educated in life, man.
but
Let me tell you, I've
I was
lived a
gonna say
lot.
you literally were talking about how much research you like
Yeah.
had to do to like learn the grammar and like that kind of stuff, and that's education.
I did. And also in the book, there's areas that I didn't know anything about, like knowing how, deputy mayor, like there's a lot of different things that I
Yeah.
needed to research. And so that all took time to kind of research that sort of stuff. And, not knowing a lot of that kind of stuff is something you have to figure out on the fly because you got to know it. And it has to make sense. It all has to make sense in the end. So I had to research it. And when you write a book, you better know as much about it as you possibly can, or you're going to sound like a dumbass.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you that most authors don't have any literature backgrounding. So, like, they literally just are like you, me, everyone that's on this podcast, a circumstance changed them, and that's how they wrote a book.
Yeah, and I feel like that's exactly how it works. I think if it's a call to you to do, and it has been since I was literally my daughter's age 10, if it's in your body and it's in your mind, it's something that you kind of need to express and get out. Like I said, I've lived a very difficult life in my 44 years, and I've gone through a lot of things and things that are just people barely believe, and I can back it up. I mean, I'm trying currently, and I don't. This may not be the place to put it, but I'm trying to extradite my dad down to Canada from the United States of America to charges to be laid on him for many offenses as a child, and that. And along with everything else, I was going to write a book about how difficult that stuff is. And then I decided to go, I'm going to do something that's not real, because not real sometimes is less scary than real life.
Yeah.
And that's where I ended up. Like
Yeah.
it's wild, but that's where I ended up.
Do you ever think that you might eventually want to like write that true stuff, or do you think it just led you in the way of fiction and that's the way?
I want to. I just don't know. I think I just don't know how to do it. Like I think I can write something that's not real versus
Mhm.
writing something that's real, because it's so different. Because I do want to do, and I think it's the stuff that I've been through is quite something. So I think it would make quite an interesting story. But then I think everybody thinks that, so I don't know what's actually a lot and what's not a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everybody has a story. So many women too have been through so many hard things in this world, and I know mine's insane because it's so big and so, whatever. But
Mhm.
maybe, everybody else's is too. But how do you put that all together into a neat and tidy book that people can read and kind of take from? I just have no idea how to even go about doing that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a lot. I always just say like if any woman is strong enough to tell their story, it's always like we
A
need to
good
hear
story
more
to hear.
women's stories because I'm so sick of hearing
Yes.
men talk.
I believe that. I'm 100, and maybe that's why this is so amazing. You guys doing this is because I don't listen to any. I dropped anything men podcast. Like the one I think I liked to was Dr. Phil. It sounds so stupid, but I dropped Dr. Phil recently, and I'm like, nope, done. Like I'm just now. It's only women podcasts. Like I just don't care to hear a guy's opinion about literally anything anymore.
Yeah, feminine
Literally.
rage era. I'm so happy so many women are like, I've been in my feminine rage era since I was like 12, and like I'm just so excited. So many more women are like embracing it. I'm like,
It
yeah.
took me 40 years to figure this out, but I think I'm finally on board now, because I think what gave it to me was having a daughter
Mm.
that's,
Yeah.
so young and impressionable. You're like, okay, well, you got to protect this girl and you got to learn for her as well. And yeah, so I'm all in my, if I was in the stuff, the US and stuff, I would be all like, girl
Oh,
power, girl power. Like I ain't gonna
Yeah.
go there, but like girl power. Like I
Just
would.
give us a year and then it'll be the US here and then we can go girl power.
Yeah, no, we're just gonna not be the U.S. and nothing to do with that.
let's
And
hope not. But
no, I'm half American, so my dad is American. My dad currently
Oh.
resides in Louisiana, so I'm actually
oh,
half.
deep red state.
Oh yes, no, deep red state, and I'm sure he probably voted for whatever. But that's not in my. I have denounced that many years ago. But yeah, my dad's half American. I was born in Canada, but my dad is American, and I lived sometime there most of my life in Canada. Was born in Canada, and I just can't even imagine. So I know that our rates here are much better than there. So I'm very much glad that I'm here now versus when I was there.
Yeah.
Because I did live there, and it was wild. Wild.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's gonna be an interesting 4
Year.
years, 5 years,
I
10
think I'm just
years,
gonna
20.
close my ears and close my eyes and just pretend like, whatever, it doesn't exist, like I think most of the Americans are gonna do actually.
Just turn around to America and be like, "It's my writing time.
It's my
Shut
writing
up."
Yeah. I'm trying to write here. Be quiet.
I'm busy. I'm busy. Okay, totally off topic. And I know this is gonna be random, but does anybody else really want to see Wicked, or is it just me?
Oh my god, I wanna
I
see it so bad.
Okay, so it's not just me.
I read the books and I listened to the Broadway music. But I'm not sure about the movie part. I'm
Really?
scared, I think. I'm like,
Oh,
oh, like, what if it doesn't, like,
get
what if
to
it's not
that.
as good as
I
Yeah.
know.
the
I thought
book.
that
Yeah.
I thought that about Beetlejuice. I'm like, if it's not nearly as good as the original, I'm gonna be so disappointed. I
No,
was happy.
I love the book so much. I cried like reading the books. Like,
Aw.
yeah, I was
Okay,
like, oh,
I
so
get more
Sonia,
emotional with books too.
you've listened to the musical, but have you seen the musical at all?
no, I just like the music.
Okay.
That's-
I'm gonna burst your bubble right now because I had this problem with the musical at the same time. It's not like the books.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, I just like the music.
yeah,
Yeah.
so but I love the musical. I just don't love it as the musical of the book. They're two separate things for me. Wicked the
Yeah, it's
book
always
and
good to
Wicked the
keep them
musical.
separate.
So like for
Yeah.
me, I'm like, I'm so excited to see the movie of Wicked the musical. But Wicked the musical, it's not Wicked the book. Those are separate.
They just have
But
the
I think
same
with
name.
Yes.
I think with who they have right now though, it's quite phenomenal. The book the movie itself. And that's the only reason I want to see it. Like I didn't know that the actress that does the one that does the Wicked Witch, she does her own stunts and she has to sing while she's doing her stunts.
Oh
So
wow.
she has to adjust her body. She's in like this weird like halo thing around her waist and where they're lifting her up and she's actually singing Defying Gravity literally while defying gravity. She's up in the air, she's doing flips and so I watched like a behind the scenes kind of thing of it and I'm like that's quite amazing. How
Yeah, they did
wonderful.
live singing for it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
literally live singing while she's doing acrobatics, like, being flipped around, whichever ways. And I was like, that's quite phenomenal. And I know Ariana Grande is amazing with her singing, but that's why it's been in my brain. And I'm like, I really wanted to go see the early release of it, like, but I just don't know.
I think with Ariana Grande, like her drama kind of overshadowed it.
Yep. I was just
does.
thinking that the
Does.
whole time. I'm like,
That left a sour taste in everyone's mouth because now everyone's like, "Oh, great, we're watching an adulterer cheat on his
yeah.
wife
Yeah.
who just had a baby with
In real
the
time,
good
you like
witch."
I know. I think it's like, yeah, because I think she's with the same guy that's in that movie, right? Like, I think.
yeah.
Like, I
The
don't delve
Munchkin,
too
yeah.
much into it because I'm like, just no. It's just it ruins the facade for me. So
Yeah.
I try to stay with like the characters versus like the actual people behind the characters, and I like her as her, so I don't want to like go too far into it. But yeah, I know behind the scene, you're like, you're a cheating hoe bag, like.
Yeah.
You ruined some lives back there, but I
Yeah.
really don't know.
Separate the art from the
Far-reaching.
artist.
Yeah,
It
this is one of
is.
those times.
I know. Sorry, I got completely off book topic there. I'm the
No, it's
author.
it's
Well,
based on
technically,
a book.
it's sort of a book topic. Yeah, like
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
not
another
your
book.
book, but it's still a
yeah, it's
book.
not
It's a
your
book.
book. Yeah.
It's a good book. Sorry, guys.
Does anyone have any other questions?
No, mine all got like answered. Like I
Yeah,
scratched them
like
all out.
all
I can't see
answered.
what you're looking at, but
They're all scratched out because they all got answered. Well, which
did
is great.
everybody
'Cause, like,
drink
this
their
is my
words?
book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
my cup is
Jesse, your
like-
eyes are looking a little sleepy there.
Yeah.
That's a little bit.
Yeah.
We got tall cans.
Oh, I'm gonna miss this. Dang it.
Your next book, come back.
Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna have to come back for sure. I gotta write fast now. Jesus.
Yeah, and see now you have another timeline. You're like, I gotta.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
now
get
that
it
you've
done.
turned it to
Before they
3
forget
months.
who I am.
Like, crunch it to 3 months now.
New record.
I'm just digging that you're in a Hooter sweater right now. It's fantastic.
But
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
an opinionated Lushes trip to
Oh,
Vegas.
was that part of your trip?
Yeah, we went to Las Vegas.
I know.
So-
I know you went tripping. I was like, that's amazing.
We went to Kentucky this year. Las Vegas. Was it last year or the year before?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago was
Damn.
Vegas.
Oh, you guys
and
go
then
every year then.
We try.
every other year.
Every other year, right? But we have a plan next year, so we're changing it to every year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're like
doing
every
our
other
best.
year is not enough. So
Yeah,
it's
but
not.
No,
everybody
it was
has
not.
money,
I want to go
so-
now, though. Like, I'm just like, I need vacation now.
yeah, I was gonna say Dawn needs a vacation like now.
Like, now. Yesterday, I needed it.
Oh, I'm telling you, we're going away to the falls. I'm taking my husband for his birthday on Sunday, and I'm like, I just need to get the hell out of like Caledonia.
Oh yeah, Caledonia.
Even if it's only like falls, like I just need to get out of here like for a hot minute. So I feel you. It's been a long year.
Oh my god.
It's been a long 5 years.
2 weeks.
A long 2 weeks.
I'm saying 5 years, man. I've long
10.
5 freaking years.
Since the early
I know.
2000s. You know what? Since 91. That's the year I
91?
was born.
That's the year you were born.
I was 11.
How long? 30 years.
Oh my God, how young are you?
She's
She's young.
33 years old. Thank you.
Oh my Lord. I was 11.
You could have
Damn.
babysat me.
You're a
Yeah.
baby. You're all babies. Wait, how old are you all?
I'm 37.
I tell
Oh,
everyone
Sonia
you're
is 25.
That's right.
Okay,
No
shut
other
up, Jess. We
age.
know you're young. Sonia, how old are you?
Oh, I tell everybody I'm 25.
Okay, how old are you actually?
I'm 39.
Okay, so you're closer to my age, and you're how old?
39.
No, not you.
37.
I got 39, 25. How old are you, Dawn?
I'm 37.
Okay, so so it goes Sonia, no, Crystal, Sonia, Dawn, Jessica.
Yeah.
If I have to be specific.
It makes like Jessica not so young when there's like a variety of ages in between, right? You're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
we're all
100%, yeah.
practically the same age.
We're all peers here.
We're all peers. Some of us just need like seniors discounts almost, and some of us still need to be checked at the door at the bar. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I mean, not now. I have
Although
tattoos,
Sonia, you
so-
look nice and young. I didn't.
Oh,
realize
thank
were
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would have
Yeah.
thought you were around the same age as Dawn. So.
Yeah.
Everyone
and-
does. Like, or
Yeah, I
everyone
thought you
thinks I'm
guys felt
older
the
than
same.
her.
Oh, I wouldn't have gone that far, but you guys look about the same to me.
Oh, also Sonia's like little too, so it makes her look like a child when she's
I'm
standing
5'1".
beside you.
I
I know.
do
Like
look
I
like a
always feel
child.
like I'm towering over
Yeah.
everybody. My
we
I know.
5'6" stature.
All my
We did our
family is
photos, yeah.
giants compared to me. Like my brother was 6'3", my older sister's 5'9", and then the other one's like 5'10", and I'm 5'1". Like that's cruel.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
cool.
Genetics was not good to you.
I got it from my grandmother. My grandma's short, stubby. That's just me. That's just life. Short and stubby. But my children, thank God, are tall and lean, so at least they'll get past the short and stubby
But
one.
their kids are gonna get the shit.
I'm not going to talk to their kids. I don't know. They're not going to like me at all, I'm sure.
You're like, no, that's it. We're not going to Graham's house ever.
We're not going to Grammy's house. Although my children tell me they're not having kids. They're like, no, we're not having any
Good
children.
for them.
I'm like,
Yeah.
good for them. Jess, you said that so fast. Good for them.
Mistakes were made. I have too many.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Smart children you got.
I only
didn't
had
know.
2. You two. I saw one of your kids being born.
Yeah,
That's-
you were
yeah.
there. That's true.
That's
I forgot
traumatic.
everyone. Crystal was there at my daughter's birth with a good, nice black and white shot of Lyric's head coming out. Perfect.
I want to point out it was literally the first and my last birth session. One and done. I was
Yeah.
She's like, I'm never
again.
doing that again.
That
I was traumatized.
My birth is Crystal's audiobook. Like
Yeah.
that was for me. Like I could one and done. Can't do it too
Yeah.
much. I learned
You
that I
would-
don't.
Yeah, you were such a trooper. My God, I was crying in the corner like a big baby, realizing this is not part of my profession. I got the job done, but I ain't never doing this shit again.
Yeah, it was
learned
really
I'm not
good.
paid enough.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
tears
no.
streaming, and I'm like, never again. But good on you. You got this, sis. Like, no, yeah, that was a nightmare.
10-1. 10-1. She was 10-1.
Oh my, that's why though, because she was a big old girl.
Oof.
Yeah. And I
Well,
love Sonia. I've been thinking this since I've seen your name on here, that the spelling of it is so unique.
Oh, yes. Yes. That's
Is it
my
actually?
mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, no, that's my name. It's spelled like that. My mom didn't want people to call me Sonia.
Oh.
So she's like, you know what? This is what it sounds like.
That's so smart.
People still called me Sonia.
It's the most Sonia thing I've ever seen in my life. I thought sauna when I saw it. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
that's clever. Like Sonia, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I tell people. They're like, oh, how do you pronounce your name? I'm like, oh, you're going to the sauna. Yeah.
How do
So,
you not see that? Like, you got to be daft. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, it's not, it's so obvious. Anyway, sorry, I know I've taken you guys over the.
no, it's good. I was
That's
just gonna
fine.
say, like, yeah, like, thank
I could
you
talk
so
to you
much.
guys forever.
Oh,
I know,
well,
it's a
we're
lot of
definitely gonna have you
fun.
on. Yeah, when you finish your next book, you let us know.
I
You
will
know?
Or
for
just
sure
to
let
come
you
join
know.
us on a regular episode. We
Oh,
don't care.
yeah.
Yeah.
We could bring
I
this
have a
on over
lot
to
of shit
another
to
one.
talk about. Wait till you guys know about the time I literally ran myself over the vehicle. Like I did it to myself. I ran myself over the truck. I was in traction for 6 months, couldn't walk. I ran myself over with the vehicle.
We later learned she was a time traveler.
No,
No,
she just portaled her way through.
I wish. No, it was not that simple. It was not that easy. I literally put myself in front of a giant truck and tried to stop it with my hip and ran myself over with it.
The
That's crazy.
superhero gone wrong.
Yeah. I have some interesting stories. I've lived a very interesting life in my 44 years. But
Yeah.
it's been great talking to you guys, and I really
Yes,
appreciate
thank
your
you
time.
so much for
Yeah,
coming
thank you for
and
joining
spending time
us.
with us tonight.
Yeah, where can everyone get your book and find out more about you?
It's available on Amazon right now. So I don't have a link or anything right now to give you. I'm not sure how to
I will
actually do
have
that,
a
but
link in the description below.
okay. Yes. So there you go. Pretty Blue Book, Visions of Murder.
Mhm.
And again, I will be coming out with the sequel as well very soon. But yeah, on Amazon. And you can also, I have a link as well. I don't even know how to give that to you guys, where you can follow through our website and get it there. But it's easier just to go through Amazon. Just
Yeah,
search it. It's
we
up
will
there.
have the link in the description below. So if you're listening or watching, just go to the description and click it, and it'll take
Yep.
you right there. And then you
It's
can
in
buy it.
hardcover, softcover, and it's also now available in ebook as well.
Ooh.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Well,
No problem, guys. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate your time, and I know we went over, but it was great just jabbing with you guys.
no,
Yes,
thank you
no
so much,
problem.
Crystal. And yeah, we'll definitely have to have you on again.
Anytime. Love to talk to you guys.
Yeah,
And thank you so much to our listeners.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, listeners. And again, if you want to buy Crystal Bell's book, description or in the description below will be the link, as well as there'll also be a link to her photography if you are in the
Aw.
area. Well, you wear many hats. We're gonna
I do.
brag and promote them.
I appreciate you all very, very much, you beautiful ladies. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Well,
you.
everyone, have a good night, and we'll see you all next time.
Good night.
Bye.